You already are the person you are trying to become. Not one day in the future. Not after the promotion, not after the sale closes, not after the circumstances finally line up. Now. In this exact second, the version of you who has everything you want already exists, and the only reason you cannot touch it yet is that you have not yet accepted it as real. Today that changes. I want to tell you something that will sound strange at first, and then, if you let it settle, will feel like the only sane thing anyone has ever told you. The outer world you see, your bank balance, your relationships, your body, your circumstances, is not the cause of your life. It is the effect. It is a mirror, and a mirror never argues with what stands in front of it. It simply reflects. Change what stands in front of the mirror, and the reflection has no choice but to follow. Chapter 1: The only power you have. You have one real power in this life, and it is not effort, and it is not talent, and it is not luck. It is assumption, the state you assume, the story you privately tell yourself about who you are, becomes the blueprint your whole life is built from. Not the story you say out loud to impress people. The one you whisper to yourself when no one is listening. That whisper is the architect. Most people spend their whole life assuming lack, and then wonder why lack keeps showing up wearing different clothes. They assume they are unlucky, and then call every disappointment proof. They assume they are not the type of person things work out for, and the world, being obedient, simply agrees with them. It was never against them. It was only ever agreeing. So today I am asking you to disagree, on purpose, with full intention, with every belief that has kept you small. Not by fighting it. You cannot punch a shadow. You starve it by refusing to feed it your attention, and by feeding something else instead. There is a simple instruction at the center of everything I am going to tell you. Stop imagining toward your goal, and start imagining from it. Do not rehearse the wanting. Rehearse the having. Most people pray like a beggar at a gate, describing to the universe everything that is missing. Do not describe what is missing. Describe, in your own quiet mind, what is already true for the version of you who made it. Do not say, I hope this works out. Say, this is already done. Do not ask when. The moment you ask when, you have confessed that you do not yet believe, and belief is the only currency this process accepts. Consider a woman I heard about who spent 11 months applying for the same role at the same company, getting quietly rejected every time. Nothing about her resume changed. What changed was this: she stopped picturing herself asking for the job, and started picturing herself already doing it. She imagined her badge. She imagined the coffee she'd drink at her new desk. She imagined the message she'd send her mother. She did this nightly, for a few minutes, with real feeling, not as performance but as memory of something that hadn't happened yet. 6 weeks later, a director she had never spoken to created a role that did not previously exist, and offered it to her directly. She did nothing to manufacture that outcome. She only stopped resisting it in her own mind. That is not superstition. That is the mechanics of a mind that finally stopped contradicting its own desire. Here is where most people fail, and I want you to hear this clearly. Imagination without feeling is just decoration. It changes nothing. A picture in your head, held at arm's length like a photograph you're mildly interested in, will not move a single molecule of your circumstances. But a scene entered, lived in, felt in the body, not just observed by the mind, that is a different order of thing entirely. So do not simply think the thought, I am successful. Feel what successful actually feels like in your shoulders, in your breathing, in the ease of your voice. Feel the specific relief of a bill paid without flinching. Feel the specific warmth of someone you love finally being proud, not because you told them to be, but because they can see it on you. That feeling, held with sincerity, is what presses your desire down into the part of you that actually builds reality, the part beneath your conscious opinions, the part that never sleeps and never negotiates. There is a tool inside this teaching that most people never use properly, and it may be the most powerful one of all. It is called revision, and it means exactly what it sounds like. You go back, in your imagination, to a moment that did not go the way you wanted, and you rewrite it until it does. Did someone speak to you with disrespect today? Tonight, before you sleep, replay the scene, but let them speak to you with warmth instead. Did you flinch when you checked your account balance? Revise it, see yourself checking it and feeling nothing but calm, because there was nothing to fear. You are not lying to yourself when you do this. You are correcting a false impression that reality tried to hand you, and reality, believe it or not, is far more negotiable than it appears. The day is not fixed the moment it happens. It is fixed the moment you accept it, unrevised, into your permanent record of who you are. You do not need permission to become the person you already are underneath the noise. You are not waiting on the economy. You are not waiting on your boss, your family, your age, your city, or your luck. You are waiting on your own consent. Ask yourself, honestly, who would you be if you were certain nothing could stop you? Would you speak differently? Would you stand differently? Would you stop explaining yourself to people who were never going to understand you anyway? Begin being that person now, in small private ways nobody else will notice at first. Not as performance, as rehearsal for the self that is already yours, waiting on the other side of your own belief. The world is not cruel. It is obedient. It has simply been agreeing with you the entire time, in both directions, in your fear and in your faith. It will not stop agreeing with you now. So choose, today, what you want it to agree with. You cannot complain your way into abundance, and you cannot speak lack all day and expect ease to arrive by evening. Watch your inner sentences the way you would watch a child near a busy road. When the mind says, "I never get a break," interrupt it, not with denial of your circumstances, but with a truer sentence. Things are working out for me, even the parts one can't see yet. Say it until it stops feeling like a lie and starts feeling like a memory. This is not about pretending everything is perfect. It is about refusing to rehearse the worst version of your story on a loop, when a truer version is available and waiting for your attention. You get to choose which one you feed. Feed it daily, the way you'd feed anything you wanted to grow strong enough to survive on its own. There will be a gap, sometimes days, sometimes weeks, between the moment you change your assumption and the moment the world visibly catches up. Do not mistake that gap for failure. A seed planted in soil does not apologize for the dark. It is not doing nothing down there. It is doing the most important part. During that gap, your only job is to stay faithful to the feeling, not to the timeline. Do not check for evidence every hour like a nervous gardener digging up the roots to see if they've grown. Water it. Walk away. Trust it. The most common reason people abandon this practice right before it works is that they mistake the silence for proof it isn't working, when the silence is often exactly what working looks like from the outside. Somewhere along the way, most of us accepted a smaller story than the one we were built for, not because it was true, but because it was handed to us early, before we knew we were allowed to hand it back. A teacher's offhand comment. A parent's fear repeated as caution. A single rejection that got mistaken for a verdict. None of that was ever a life sentence. It was a suggestion, made by people who were themselves living inside their own smaller story. You do not owe that suggestion your obedience for one more day. You are allowed to quietly, without announcing it to anyone, become someone your past would not recognize. So here is what I want you to do. Tonight, before sleep, the state closest to the one where this work actually takes hold, sit quietly for a few minutes. Choose one scene, the version of your life you have been afraid to fully imagine because wanting it that badly felt dangerous. Step into it. Not as a spectator. As the one living it. Feel it in your chest, in your breathing, in the ease of your own hands. Stay there a few minutes. Then release it, and go to sleep as though it were already true, because in the only place that ever mattered, it already is. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not the exception to a law that has worked for everyone who ever quietly, stubbornly, refused to keep assuming their own smallness. The life you keep hoping for is not ahead of you, chasing you, always one step out of reach. It is already yours, in the only place anything is ever truly built first, and every day you assume it, you move one day closer to simply noticing what was already true. Begin tonight. Not with effort. With acceptance. That is the whole secret, and it was never hidden. It was only ever waiting for you to stop looking outward for what you had already been given within.